Hello and welcome back to the channel. On the 14th of May 2025, Jupiter will be transiting into the sign of Gemini, which is ruled by the planet Mercury. So in Gemini, Jupiter will increase the focus on communication, on learning, traveling, and social interactions. So you can receive increased luck and abundance in these areas. And if you're working in any of these areas, then it will also give you a boost. However, Gemini isn't considered a great sign for Jupiter because Gemini is about details and the present moments. Gemini represents all the information out there which has to be processed and translated into something logical. And this can slow Jupiter down because Jupiter likes to power through, it likes to expand, and it likes to look at the bigger picture. So let's talk about the predictions for all zodiac signs. And as always, I recommend looking at transits from the moon first and foremost. For Aries natives, Jupiter will move into your third house in the sign of Gemini. So the third house is not a bad house for Jupiter to be in, but it really depends on the type of person you are. This transit is good if you are in your 20s and 30s, or if you are a detail-orientated person and you enjoy conceptualizing and thinking. If you're someone who is senior in age, and if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy thinking too much, so you might be a doer, you might be someone who likes to be active or physical, then this transit of Jupiter can make you feel mentally fatigued, and you can feel like your energy levels are depleting, and it can make you feel mentally tired, especially since Saturn is in your 12th house, which if you are looking at transits from the moon, which you should also be doing, then it can be a tiring period mentally. So now Jupiter's transit here in the third house is very good for embracing a beginner's mindset, because the third house is associated with the stage in life where a person is developing and learning. So this is a time that you can start a new hobby, you might start a small business, a person can have a strong desire or passion to travel and explore new places, or possibly even study something. So a person doesn't need to be young in order to enjoy this transit. However, generally speaking, people in their younger years generally have that enthusiasm and zest for life, to explore the possibilities of life. Whereas those in their mid to senior years, they are generally happy being where they are and don't want to exert too much energy and effort into new things. The third house in Gemini is the house of thinking and analyzing. So if you are a student, this transit can be supportive, where it will help you understand things a lot better. It will help you process information and make decisions, and also help you with problem solving and reasoning. So you don't have to be a student, because these are the things that can be required in everyday life as well. So you can be mentally very busy. And as I mentioned, as long as you are someone who enjoys thinking and planning, and you are not too impatient, then this transit is generally good. Now the third house and Gemini is also a very social sign, which enjoys interaction and communicating. So this can be a time where you have to engage in that a little bit more. So if you're someone who enjoys socializing, communicating, having lots of different conversations with people, then you can enjoy this transit. Especially since Rahu is transiting your 11th house, and 11th house lord Saturn is in the 12th house. It means that you can really expand your social circle. You can have an international network circle, or if you have your own business, you can also have foreign clientele. Now if you're someone who doesn't enjoy socializing that much, so you might be an introvert, then you can find this transit a little bit tiring. From the third house, Jupiter will aspect your 7th house, 9th house, and 11th house. So the seventh house is obviously the house of relationships. So this is a good time if you're single to meet people through social events, through friends, or through various dating applications. But because Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is to do with love and romance, so it means that you can be very realistic, or you will have to be very realistic in order to find that person. This is a time where you can also get married, and if you're going through a divorce or separation, then this can also be finalized. From the third house, Jupiter will also aspect your ninth house. So what this aspect means is that people you meet through various interactions, any information you read or learn or you take in, potentially can lead you to questioning and changing your life philosophy. So you might make a friend who inspires you. You might meet someone who gives you a new perspective, which can change or adjust your values and beliefs. So this aspect is all about whoever you meet or whatever effort you put in to expand your third house, it will affect your ninth house. So when Jupiter influences the ninth house, it gives you luck, it gives you expansion in life. So this is a good time to read more, a good time to interact more with people, and a good time to travel, because any travel you undertake will also help you become more rounded and cultured. From the third house, Jupiter will also aspect your 11th house. So this is a great aspect to increase your income through your self-efforts. This is very good for those who are self-employed, those who have a business, and also there is potential to make money through your hobby. This aspect is about your money coming from the third house. So that's how this aspect works. Third house also represents your younger sibling. So this is a time that they can give you financial support. And it's not always about money. So your younger sibling can also be a good friend to you. And during this time, they can also help you fulfill any of your desires. For Taurus natives. So Jupiter will move into your second house in the sign of Gemini. So the second house is a really good house for Jupiter to be in. And when it enters here, it's a great time for planning your finances, making budgets, and finding ways to grow your money or wealth. Jupiter is ruling your 11th house. So during this period, your expenses can be low, and it will help you save quite a bit of money. Now, Gemini is a very curious sign. It is a dual sign, and it's a sign which doesn't want to be limited or restricted to one direction. So Jupiter's transit here can give you options. It can give you lots of opportunities to earn money. It can show that you'll be adaptable and resourceful in acquiring or growing your wealth through diverse income streams. You can also earn money through communication. So if you're working as a journalist, a travel guide, teacher, some type of job or business like a consultant where you have to communicate, you can potentially earn a lot. And you can also make money through your ideas and through interacting with others. Jupiter is ruling your 8th house, and when it transits the second house, it means that other people's money can benefit you. So a person may receive inheritance, or for example, a person may even get a loan through the bank to start a business or to buy a house. So there's a strong indication of this. But just because Jupiter is in a good house, it doesn't mean that you should blindly take financial risks, because although Jupiter will bring opportunities, it can also bring inconsistency in the sign of Gemini. So always remember to be practical, sensible, and patient. Now, the second house also represents other assets. Aside from cash, it can show property. It can show other things that people invest in, such as jewelry, gold, and even things like Lego. So for example, I have a friend who buys Lego sets, and certain Lego sets are proven to be stable investments over time, and many of them appreciate in value significantly. So you might have tangible items in your house that might be worth a lot of money, or you might invest in tangible items. The second house represents the food that you put into your body. So with Jupiter here, there can be a risk of overindulgence. So a strong indication of weight gain is possible during this transit. Jupiter is associated with a sweet taste. So this is a time many of you may eat more chocolate, desserts, and ice cream. And because this is a sign of Gemini that we are talking about, it can show that you being very curious about food. You will want to try different food, different desserts. And with Rahu in your 10th house, you may be working very hard in your career. So you may not have time to, exercise or burn off calories. So you can have a little bit of a carefree attitude in terms of your diet. The second house also represents your family. And now because Jupiter is ruling your 8th house, there can be some changes in your family, especially related to your mother, because your Ketu is in the 4th house and Saturn is in the 11th house. So your 4th house is quite vulnerable. So there could be some issues with your mother, or your mother's health could be a little bit poor. Jupiter in the 2nd house can also show growth in the family. So a person can get married, they can have a baby, and there are strong chances of having twins. But this is not the ideal period to meet new people if you are single. And even if you are in a relationship, or you're married, or you're getting married, your home life can also suffer a little bit, as you'll be really, really busy with your work-related things in your life. Now, from the 2nd house, Jupiter will aspect the 6th house, 8th house, and 10th house. So the aspect on the 6th house shows weight gain, as I mentioned before. So you could overindulge with food. The aspect on the 6th house can also show that you'll be extremely busy in your day-to-day life, which can involve your work, business, and any other commitments you have in your life. But with this, it will bring you monetary rewards. Jupiter's aspect on the 8th house can also bring some type of transformation with regards to your family or mother, which I mentioned earlier. It can also mean that your money or your resources can benefit your partner. So I mentioned earlier how other people's money can help you. So for example, if you are in a relationship and you both want to buy a house together, but your partner may not be able to get a loan. So then this combination can show that you can get the loan, and then that would obviously benefit your relationship. Jupiter's aspect here on the 8th house can also show having surgery in your face area. It can also show cosmetic surgery, and cosmetic surgery is obviously gaining more popularity. So a person can have this with this combination. Jupiter's aspect on the 10th house and on Rahu shows immense career growth and a significant rise in your socio-economic status. Your quality of life can improve in terms of affordability, because the more money, more resources a person has, the greater quality of access they have to things such as healthcare, nutrition, and schools. So overall, this Jupiter transit is very, very good, and it will be a good year because your Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu are all in good houses. So enjoy it and make the most of it. For Gemini natives, Jupiter will transit into your 1st house on the 15th of May. So the last 12 months or so may have been quite challenging for you in terms of your work, in terms of your relationships, and your general optimism may have been quite low. So now all of this is going to change. Saturn is transiting a good house, and now Jupiter will move into your 1st house. And this will bring increased confidence, optimism, enhanced communication skills, personal growth, and new beginnings. The first house is a great house for Jupiter to be in. You'll mark a time of improved optimism and cheerfulness. It will bring very noticeable improvements in your immediate environment, your mood, and your self-confidence to your personality. The first house is about new beginnings. So this is a great time to start something new. Start a new job, move to a new place, new country, get married, find a partner if you're single, having kids, traveling. Whatever you feel like doing, you name it, this is the right time to do it. Jupiter, it represents expanding your life, and in the sign of Gemini, it can do that because Gemini is not really a restrictive environment, but it is a sign where a person has to show attention to detail. So whichever way you want to expand your life, there can be some small obstacles or minor things which you will need to progress through. So some patience is required with this transit. Jupiter is ruling your 10th house, and when it transits the first house, it means that some of you will find new career opportunities, or some of you may even change your line of work. This is the right time to assess your current situation, identify interests and skills, and develop a plan of action. And Gemini is the right sign for this. If you have any interest to start a business, this is a good time. And during this Jupiter's transit in the first house, you will feel more driven, more ambitious to achieve more and grow your status. So do make the most of this transit. Jupiter and Saturn are both in good houses, and Rahu is in a house where you can evolve and adjust your beliefs. So this is very supportive to expand your life as long as you are open-minded. Jupiter is also ruling your 7th house, and if you are single, this is a good time. This is a time somebody can come into your life. When the 7th lord is in the first house, it means that you don't really have to do anything. That person will ask you out. So you just have to put yourself on show. So for example, you have to attend social events or any family functions, or put your profile on a dating application, and somebody will come to you. The person you meet can also have an impact on your personality. They can help you grow. They can bring optimism to you. If you are married, then this transit is not bad either. But because Saturn is in the 10th house, it can show some obstacles that you have to work through. Saturn is also transiting the sign of Pisces, which also shows that you have to be practical in terms of forming any new relationship. Now, from the first house, Jupiter will aspect your 5th, 7th, and 9th houses. So all of these houses will receive a boost. The 5th house is to do with children. So this can show the birth of children, or if you already have children, the relationship with them can be good, and you will have a positive impact on them. The 5th house is to do with creative self-expression. So if you are involved with any hobby or job to do with creativity, this aspect will support you. This aspect can also give you more confidence to be self-reliant and to use your own powers and resources. This aspect will give you a healthy sense of self. It will give you a healthy ego. So people think that ego is not a good thing, but in fact having a healthy ego is very important because it gives you a sense of personal identity. It gives you confidence to make your own decisions, which is essential for navigating this world. Jupiter will then aspect the 5th and 7th houses. The 7th and 9th houses. So As I mentioned, it's a positive time to date, to meet people. And Jupiter is also in a very social sign of Gemini. So this will help you build network, it will help you build connections, and you'll be having a lot of interaction. So this is a very good time for single people. The aspect on the 9th house with Rahu already transiting there makes it a great time to travel, which will help you broaden your horizons. It will foster personal growth and bring valuable life experiences, and also expose you to new cultures and perspectives. So people who travel generally have a much more open mind, so do make the most of this transit. For Cancer natives, Jupiter will move into your 12th house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May. So the 12th house, it represents everything from your collective experiences and events that have happened so far in your life to everything that is hidden. So for example, hidden fears, things that you don't really want to deal with, or things that you thought that you would never have to deal with. So you can get some varying results with this Jupiter transit. Now, it's also important to note that none of the major planetary energies are in ideal houses. So your Ketu, Rahu, Saturn are all in somewhat challenging houses. And while Jupiter in the 12th house is not that bad, because it is the natural ruler of Pisces, so it does feel comfortable in the 12th house, but it doesn't always give the type of results that people always want. Like for example, everyone wants growth in their finances, but the 12th house is more about what you can give rather than what you can get. So Jupiter's transit in the 12th house can increase your expenses. Jupiter is naturally a good planet, so there is a strong indication for Cancer moon people especially that they can study something new, like an educational course, or you'll be spending some money to learn something new. So there's a strong possibility of that. The other strong possibility is travel, especially since this transit is happening in the sign of Gemini. It means that you will have a strong curiosity to travel and gain new experiences. So you'll be seeking stimulation and variety. So you could be traveling to lots of different places. You can go to Africa, Asia, South America, and you'll be quite adaptable and very open to new ideas. So that's a positive result, especially if you're someone who enjoys traveling. You'll be spending money and energy on these kinds of things. So there'll be plenty of movement. With this Jupiter in the 12th house, you can also change where you are living. You can change your residence. So there's a strong possibility of buying a property in a foreign country. However, if you do move permanently to any new country, there can be some challenge adjusting to the laws and the rules of any new country that you move to. If you're just traveling to any new country, then that should be fine. So that's a couple of results, and another strong possibility with this Jupiter in the 12th house is that you will go through a healing process. So everything that has happened to you so far in your life, there may have been events where you have not healed properly. So you will go through that process. And even though you have healed, you will go through a period of self-reflection and examine your actions, reactions, choices that you have made in recent years. So you will learn from all of this, and this will help you grow internally and spiritually as a person. And some of you may even feel like withdrawing from the world. So you may prefer to spend time alone during this 1 year period. So this can be like traveling on your own. It can be having that private time to read, meditate, and contemplate things which will help you heal. Jupiter in the 12th house can also show a shift in your mindset, in your beliefs, and in your behavior. So you may have to release any limiting or unhelpful beliefs that is hindering you, that is hindering your growth or well-being. So everyone has a set of beliefs, but when a person goes through, major life transformations, they tend to start questioning their beliefs and then changing some of them. So I'm not only talking about religious beliefs, but any type of beliefs that people have. When Jupiter is in the 12th house, it is about growing away from where you are, away from your comfort zone. So the 12th house is a house of growing spiritually and internally rather than materialistically. The 12th house, it encompasses your experiences of all the other 11 houses put together. It's basically everything in your memory, everything that has happened to you. So this is a time of self-reflection where you can examine your actions, reactions, and choices that you have made. And this will really help you understand what truly matters to you. Now, from the 12th house, Jupiter will aspect the 4th, 6th, and 8th houses. So when Jupiter is aspecting the 4th house, as I mentioned earlier, there's a strong possibility of changing your residence, buying a place in a foreign country, or there's a high probability of property-related expenses. Since K2 is transiting your 2nd house, this aspect of Jupiter can also show that your mother or someone you are living with can be going through, health issues where they require some sort of healing, or you yourself can be going through physical or mental health issues and you'll be going through some kind of healing where you can be acknowledging, processing, and integrating any painful experiences and emotions and trying to restore your emotional well-being. And this kind of healing can come through some sort of therapy, support such as counseling, because Jupiter is transiting the sign of Gemini. So it shows that you need to talk to someone about anything or something that you are feeling. Jupiter's aspect on the 6th house, again, this is about how you maintain your health and well-being. This is a time that you may need, health. You may get health ailments related to your stomach and intestine area. The 6th house, it also represents work. So you may have to work in an unfamiliar setting or in an environment that is new, unknown, and where you can feel some sense of strangeness. This is a time that you can also do volunteer work, or a time where you may need to serve others unconditionally. Jupiter's aspect on the 8th house shows a mental and emotional transformation where you can resolve distressing emotions or experiences, which can lead to positive changes in your life. For Leo natives, Jupiter will transit into your 11th house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May. So your Saturn and K2 are transiting in slightly challenging houses. So this transit of Jupiter will hopefully bring some good vibes back into your life, because the 11th house is a very, very good house for Jupiter to be in. So first of all, your Saturn is in the 8th house. And this means that there could be some changes happening in your work. And whatever change happens, you may get some monetary benefit with this Jupiter in the 11th house, because Jupiter is ruling your 8th house. So when it transits the 11th house, you can get some benefit related to the 8th house. So for example, a person may take a sabbatical where you are on leave, but you get some sort of payment or monetary benefit. Or it could be that you may need to go and work in a different location with this Saturn in the 8th house. Or your actual responsibilities may be changing, but your income will remain strong. This combination of Saturn and Jupiter can also show a person may get a retirement payout or an insurance payout or a redundancy payout, because your Jupiter is ruling your 8th house, as I mentioned. So there can also be potential unexpected but large income coming your way. You may also get returns through investment or money through your children if they are grown up, with the 5th lord in the 11th house. Jupiter's transit in the 11th house in the sign of Gemini can also make a person quite adaptable. So this means that any changes that are happening in your work or any type of life changes, you'll be able to navigate any uncertainty as long as you are a flexible person. So this is a time that you can seize any new opportunity and build some resilience. If you're someone who doesn't like change, but you have to face something changing, this Jupiter transit will help you adjust, but it won't be completely straightforward. But nothing in life is straightforward, but generally you will be okay. Gemini is a very flexible energy, so you'll have to be flexible in all areas of your life. And if you can be flexible, then you will be able to make good gains. So if you saw my Saturn video, Saturn in the 8th house is probably causing some instability or potential changes in your life. So this Jupiter in the 11th house is actually helping you welcome change and any uncertainty. And you need to acknowledge that life is not always predictable or under our control. So Jupiter's transit in the 11th house is a good time to cultivate flexibility. Jupiter in the 11th house can help you expand your network circle, your professional circle, your social circle, and because Jupiter is ruling your 8th house, you can deepen any existing relationship you have with friends. Now, K2 in the 1st house means that you can be losing a little bit of your identity, and this is a time your ego will also reduce a little bit. And this is a good time to welcome people from all backgrounds into your life. The 11th house is the house of liberalism. So that means that some of your values can change and you can take more of an interest in the community and human rights and internationalism. Jupiter is ruling your 5th house, and if you are hoping to have children, this transit is very supportive. And a person can also have twins because Jupiter is in the dual sign of Gemini. This Rahu, Ketu and Saturn transit can also cause major transformations in your life, and Ketu in the 1st house can show a time where you can be, sacrificing, and a time where you need to give up and surrender, and which obviously a person has to do if they have children. From the 11th house, Jupiter will aspect your 3rd, 5th and 7th houses. So the aspect on the 3rd house is good for specialist learning or specialist training, or learning something more focused rather than just general learning. This is a time you can be trying to become a specialist of something, which can include a hobby that you do. So if you have an ambition to learn and play tennis, this is a time you can invest in a coach. This is a time, this aspect is about things that you do for fun or in your pastime that you want to become better at rather than academia. The aspect on the 5th and 7th houses can also show that if you are single, you can date someone or have a romantic relationship with someone from your existing network circle. And because Rahu is in your 7th house in Aquarius, there is a strong possibility that you might develop some kind of feelings towards a friend. And Rahu is an energy that wants to disturb the peace. So depending on your situation, this can be good or bad. The aspect on the 5th house is similar to the aspect on the third house, where you can be trying to improve your creativity skills. This is a time you can be innovative and turn any creative ideas or concepts you have into a commercial success. The 11th house is the money you earn. So this aspect can show that money you earn can be flowing into your fun and entertainment activities, or you could be investing that money into learning, or investing that money into the stock market. And finally, Jupiter will aspect your 7th house. So your 7th house will have Rahu transiting here, and the Lord of your 7th house is in the 8th house. So for many Leo people, your relationships can go through a somewhat transformation. So firstly, if you're single, this is a period where you can feel a cosmic push to find someone. And as I mentioned, there is a possibility of a person coming from your network circle. When Jupiter transits the 11th house, it means that you can find a person through networking, through groups, or through events. But that person can be from a different community, or they could have a progressive or humanitarian spirit. If you are already in a relationship, when Rahu is in the 7th house, it wants to disturb the peace, as I mentioned. So it wants something different, it wants something better. It wants something that is off limits. So you have to be very careful of your actions and behavior if you are already in a committed relationship. For Virgo natives, Jupiter will transit into your 10th house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May 2025. So the 10th house is the highest point in the sky, which represents your social standing or your social class and your overall status. So when Jupiter enters this house, your status can rise. Now, even though the 10th house is Jupiter's natural debilitation position, it can give good results in your career or line of work. Jupiter will be enhancing your career. And if you look at your chart, Rahu, Saturn, and now Jupiter are all in favorable positions to boost your career. So this is a time many Virgo people, especially Virgo moon people, will see positive results in relation to their career. Jupiter in Gemini will be especially good for those whose career is involved with communication. And this can include marketing, consulting, but also anything creative and analytical. With Gemini being a dual sign, this transit can also show a person doing two jobs, or it can show looking for new opportunities to enhance your career. So definitely there is always a change of job when Jupiter transits the 10th house, or if you don't change your company that you work for, there can be an internal change where you're working at the same place but you're doing a different role. This is also a time where you will learn new skills, and overall there will be good professional development. Jupiter in the 10th house can also show that you will have a mentor or a teacher figure at your work who will support you. Now, obviously, if you're working two jobs or you are wanting to progress up the career ladder, you'll naturally take on more responsibilities, which is what this Jupiter in the 10th house also shows. So in terms of other responsibilities, Jupiter is the natural significator of children and is ruling your 4th and 7th houses. So there can be responsibilities related to these areas of your life. Especially there will be focus on relationships because your Saturn is in the 7th house. So you need to be able to manage that. If you are single, Jupiter and Saturn's transit here can help you come across a person, because the 10th house is to do with happiness from being in a relationship. And you can meet a person through work, or the person you meet will be very career orientated and driven. Jupiter is ruling your 4th house and transiting the 10th house, which shows that there's a strong emotional connection between personal and professional life. If you're someone in your early 20s, your career may be influenced by your family, and you could be drawn towards professions related to your family business if you have one, real estate, or any other areas where roots and personal values play an important role. Now, from the 10th house, Jupiter will aspect the 2nd, 4th, and 6th houses. So the 2nd house aspect will expand your reach to attract prosperity. So this is all about your finances and assets. So as your career grows, your status will grow and your financial position will become stronger with this aspect. Now, the 2nd house is not just about money. It is also about your sense of self-worth. How much do you value yourself? So when Jupiter is in the 10th house, enhancing your career, and as you grow into more senior positions, your sense of self-esteem and confidence will also grow. The aspect on the 2nd and 4th house can also show that you will be guiding, influencing, and supporting your family in a positive way and taking the lead in managing family resources. The aspect on the 4th house shows that your happiness will be derived from you finding your sense of purpose in your career, taking on the opportunities for growth and development, and this will lead to increased satisfaction and you'll be experiencing a state of joy. Jupiter in the 10th house and aspecting the 4th house can also show an increase in material comforts, such as buying a property, buying a vehicle, or adding comfort to your home. If you are suffering from any health-related issues related to the 4th house, there can also be improvements with this Jupiter aspect, and overall there will be good domestic happiness. And finally, Jupiter will aspect the 6th house and will also be aspecting Rahu. So this will encourage a focus on overall well-being and proactive health management. This aspect from the 10th house will bring growth to your daily routine. So in other words, it will make you busy as you grow your professional and socioeconomic status. There'll be more responsibilities for you to take on. So it's good to be able to prioritize and organize your workload effectively. For Libra natives, Jupiter will move into your 9th house on the 14th of May 2025. So this house is Jupiter's home and therefore it feels extremely comfortable, bringing an exciting period of growth and exploration. So therefore you can expect some very good results. Saturn is also in a good house and Rahu isn't bad in the 5th house. So overall it should be a decent run-in till the end of 2025. So firstly, Jupiter in the 9th house in Gemini will bring opportunities for you to embark on adventurous journeys, and you yourself will have a strong desire to travel, explore exciting places, and this will overall enrich your life. These experiences will enrich your life. Now, it doesn't have to be international travel, it could be domestic travel, or it could even mean that you will meet new people who are from different backgrounds and cultures, and they'll be part of your network circle. Jupiter in the 9th house will also bring opportunities for you to learn. This is a time when a person can go to university, they could do a course, they could attend workshops, and take part in any activity where they will learn something. So this is not always about learning through educational institutions. You can learn something through the leisure of just reading a book or traveling or meeting new people. Jupiter in the 9th house can be a time of exploring new belief systems and different worldviews. This can be a time where you delve deeper into your own faith, building your internal understanding and personal application. So this can include things like studying religious texts deeper and engaging in prayer and meditation. Your life philosophy can really broaden, where your opinions can change or gain a more comprehensive understanding of life. Now, Jupiter is ruling your third house. So when it is transiting in the ninth house, it means that your hobbies, interests, and business will be expanding. So you'll be trying your best to grow the things that you are involved in at the moment. And with Saturn in the sixth house, this is a really good time to expand these things in your life. Jupiter is ruling your sixth house, and when it is transiting the ninth house, this is about expanding your daily routine. So not just expanding it for the sake of it, but expanding your routine to actually achieve real substance. So for example, in terms of your work, you might have to engage more with leaders and senior people. So therefore, you will have more senior responsibilities, which will obviously help your career. In terms of other things, it could be your routine can involve travel. This can be a period of increased networking. And the more you network with people, the more you communicate with people, the more opportunities and things you will learn. So do not shy away from networking. You can achieve a lot through people you meet, and even just merely having a conversation or chat, and they can give you ideas and tips. From the ninth house, Jupiter will aspect the first house, third house, and fifth house. So these are all great houses, and the first house, it represents your personality. Or if you are following transits from the moon, then it represents your mood. And with this aspect, you will feel a lot of positivity, a lot of optimism, and a strong sense of self. Your personality will grow. There'll be increased confidence. There'll be better communication and positive interactions. So you should really make the most of this transit. Then Jupiter will aspect your third house. So it will bring a positive influence to your hobbies, to your interests, and business if you have one. Also, it will help you strengthen your communication skills, and it is very good for learning and increasing your knowledge. There will be other people who will also help you, who can mentor you to improve your hobbies, your interests, and give you valuable ideas. So it's very worthwhile to network, or if you play sports, you can, hire a coach, or you can get like a teacher or mentor to help you improve your hobbies. So it's a very, very good time. And finally, Jupiter will aspect your fifth house, which is associated with love, romance, dating, relationships, and fun, making this period positive to find a partner. So this is a time you can meet people through traveling. You can travel somewhere and you could be sitting next to someone on an airplane, or you could be meeting someone on a tour group while you're on vacation. So this is also a time you can meet someone from another country or background, because your Rahu will also be in the fifth house. And Jupiter is a teacher, so you can also meet someone who will guide you and who will help you. If you are already in a relationship, this can be a harmonious time, and couples can also be blessed with a baby if that is something that you want. This transit will boost your self-expression and therefore will support anyone who is involved with any creative projects. For Scorpio natives, Jupiter will transit into your 8th house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May. So the 8th house, it represents major life changes, which can take you out of your comfort zone, where you can feel a loss of control and feel a loss of familiarity. The main point of Jupiter's transit in this house is to teach you something which you do not know yet. And the only way you will learn is by being outside of your comfort zone. Jupiter is a naturally benefic planet, so whatever life changes you go through over the next 12 months, there will be some sort of support which will help you. So what are some of the things where you can feel a loss of control? Well, since this transit is happening in the sign of Gemini, this can show movement and travel. Especially with Rahu also in your 4th house, there is a strong indication of a geographic move to a new city, country, or to a completely different type of environment. Another type of change could be a life transition, where you are moving from one stage of life to another, such as having a kid and starting a family, or even retiring, because your K2 is in the 10th house, so you can detach yourself from responsibilities. There can also be health issues which could force you to significantly change your lifestyle and adopt a better routine. There can be internal transformations such as changing your thoughts, behaviors, and actions. So these can be driven by life events. So for example, you might move to a new place and you might find yourself interacting with people or a different type of community which you never had any interaction with before. And since Jupiter is naturally an optimistic planet, you can cultivate a more positive mindset, changing any limiting beliefs and developing a greater sense of self-awareness. The 8th house also represents fears and insecurities, so Jupiter will make you confront, recognize, and accept your fears and insecurities rather than eliminating them. So some of the things don't just go away, but you will have to start to accept them, and you will see that it's normal to have fears. Now, the other thing Jupiter in the 8th house can show is being supported by someone else. Jupiter is aspecting your 2nd house, so other people's money, resources, and assets can actually help you. It could be that your in-laws, if you're married, your in-laws can help you, or you might get a loan from the bank to buy a property because Jupiter is also aspecting your 4th house. This position of Jupiter is very good for those who are involved with occult sciences, and you may learn or become very curious about things like astrology or any other type of esoteric supernatural beliefs and practices which fall outside the scope of organized science and religion. This period is also good for those who are writers, especially those who have an interest in crime, detective novels, and psychological thrillers. In Vedic astrology, Jupiter is known as the Jiv Garak, which means that it's the natural life source. And this transit is about confronting any fears or insecurities you have, recognizing them, and accepting them. This transit can be about rebuilding your life, changing the direction of your life, or changing the direction of your mindset. So at the end of this transit, it will feel like a period of self-growth, and therefore it's positive. But there will be moments where you may feel down. But as soon as you change something, you will start to feel a lot better. This transit is about bringing immense growth through transformation, because you can only grow if you change. Otherwise, you are just staying the same. Now, from the 8th house, Jupiter will aspect your 12th house. And whenever Jupiter aspects the 12th house, a person can travel. So you'll definitely do some traveling. This aspect is also about letting go of something or someone that you need to let go of and it can be painful, but you need to let go and move on. Secondly, this aspect is about healing. So a powerful way a person can heal is by changing the direction of your life. And obviously healing is also about medical treatment, getting a procedure done, having surgery, so that you can recover from any issues that you are having. The aspect on the second house means that your partner, their family, their beliefs will be having an impact on you. Other people's beliefs will be having an influence on you. This can be both positive or negative. So in a negative sense, it can mean that you're losing a little bit of your authenticity. So it's a slightly weakened sense of self. But this is the planet Jupiter we are talking about. So Jupiter will be, helping you gain something. If you are married, this is also about finding balance between compromising and maintaining your core values. And finally, the aspect on the fourth house can show buying a property, changing your location, changing your residence, as I mentioned earlier. But because the eighth house represents other people's money, it's a time your spouse or their in-laws can provide financial support for you to buy a place, or the bank can provide you a loan to buy a place. This aspect can also show surgery related to the fourth house. And with Rahu transiting your fourth house, this is a good time to focus on your mental health well-being as well. For Sagittarius natives, Jupiter will transit into your 7th house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May 2025. As Jupiter is the ruler of your chart, what this transit means is that you are going away from your immediate environment. You are losing a little bit of your sense of self for your partner or for other people. The 7th house is about compromising. It's about adjusting. So if you are a very stubborn person and you're someone who is resistant to change and new ideas, then this transit can be a little bit tricky to deal with. This is a time where you will need to be flexible. You will need to adapt and understand others. It can be negative in the sense that you're losing a little bit of your authenticity, and whether that is negative or positive, it's subjective, because it really depends on the type of person you are, because some people they need to change. Saturn is in your 4th house, and this shows that you're not completely happy where you are, especially if you are a Sagittarius moon person. Now, the 7th house is all about relationships and other people. So that's what it largely represents. So for people that are single, it will be a very eventful year. If you're single, this is a time that you need to go and find your partner. That is what will make you happy, rather than someone else finding a person for you. When the 1st house lord is in the 7th house, it means that you have to make the first move. So if you're a female, you can't really wait around for someone to come to you. You will have to do some of the chasing. Because Gemini is a dual sign, if you are dating, it can also mean that there could be 2 people that you need to decide over. So you need to pick one person. And it can be quite difficult to choose. And regardless of who you choose, I can tell you that when Jupiter moves into Cancer, which is your 8th house, it will transform your life. If you're someone who doesn't really want to settle down just yet, then Jupiter in the 7th house can show multiple relationships with different people. So that's one of the not so good things about Jupiter in the 7th house. Alternatively, if you are already in a relationship, then this transit of Jupiter can bring marriage, and it can also deepen any existing relationships you have. You can have deeper conversations which are beyond surface level interactions, and have conversations that foster trust, understanding and connection, because this is the sign of Gemini. This transit is also about how you will have to make some sacrifices in order for things to work. So again, it's about compromising and finding balance. It's about balancing being open to other people's perspectives, but maintaining some of your core values. Jupiter is ruling your 4th house, so you can be more devoted and emotionally invested in your spouse, and you can have a closer connection, and your partner can be a source of happiness if you can find that balance in the relationship. If you have been married for a long time and you are unhappy in your relationship, this transit can also cause separation if that is something that you want. Jupiter will transit in Adra Nakshatra, and this nakshatra has a power to cause destruction in a relationship. So destruction is a strong word, so it can cause a disunion. So there can be a resolution of some sort if you are not able to come to an agreement with your partner. If you are in a business partnership, it's the same thing. So can you compromise and agree? And if not, the energy is there for you both to go your separate ways. Now, from the 7th house, Jupiter will aspect the 11th, 1st, and 3rd houses, which are all good houses and which will see some benefit. So firstly, the 11th house is obviously the house of income. So this aspect can mean that your partner could be a source of income, or your money can come through other people through business partnership. This aspect can also show that your desires, hopes, and wishes can be fulfilled through other people or your partner. So some of the things that you always wanted in your life, you can get them, but only if you are flexible and adaptable. So you have to really work with the Jupiter in Gemini energy to get the good results. If you want everything your way and if you're not willing to compromise, then you may not get the good results of the 11th house. This aspect can also show an increase in your salary, so you may get a pay rise. The aspect on the 1st house shows that through other people you meet, your partner, you can grow and discover yourself through their influence and experience. You can really learn from your partner with this Jupiter in the 7th house. So it is a time to be open-minded. And generally speaking, when there are planets in the 7th house in the natal chart, it's very important to connect with other people because they can actually help you shape your personality, which is what this Jupiter in your 7th house will do. So even though you are married, it's important to network and meet different people because you will get ideas, different perspectives, which will help you expand your life. And then finally, Jupiter will aspect your 3rd house. And this is good for the expansion and growth of your hobbies. You can discover new interests through people you meet, and there can be lots of short distance travel during this period and a positive relationship with your younger sibling. For Capricorn natives, Jupiter will transit into your 6th house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May 2025. So the 6th house is quite a good house for Jupiter to be in if you're motivated by your professional life, and it's a time where you can really advance in your field of work. So Jupiter here in the 6th house will make you very busy in your day-to-day life. Not only that, but the work you do, you will show a greater attention to detail. So you'll be very diligent, putting in a lot of hard, careful, and persistent effort to complete your tasks and achieve your goal. Here, a person can also experience job change. You can get job opportunities come your way, and with the aspect on the 10th house, this can provide you with the growth and career advancement. So it's a very good time to change your job or apply for higher level jobs if that is something you want to do. Jupiter in Gemini is also good for those whose work involves advising others. such as teachers or consultants. And this is also positive for anybody that's involved with writing, such as journalists. And with Saturn in the third house, if you do have a similar job to a journalist or anything to do with writing, you can also find opportunities to travel for work. And this transit is also good for business, including content creators and anything else involved with creativity. So while being busy might be a good thing, Jupiter here can also cause a little bit of stress due to feeling overwhelmed with the amount of work. So you can struggle a little bit to find that work-life balance, and you may experience a little bit of lack of support. So therefore, it's important to prioritize and not let go of the less critical responsibilities. So you have to make your responsibilities more manageable with this transit, but this is not always an easy thing to do. Jupiter is ruling your third house, and when it transits the sixth house, it's good as you'll be investing your time and effort into meaningful things. So Saturn is in the third house, and when Saturn is in the third house, it shows that you'll be using your time wisely. So any activity related to the third house, you can get positive results. Jupiter is also ruling your 12th house, and in the 6th house, it can give you opportunities for international collaboration, where you can have clients, customers, or stakeholders in foreign locations. Jupiter's transit on the 6th house can also increase your debt because you can borrow money, such as a loan, to buy a property, or a car loan, or a personal loan. And it can be quite a large loan, as Jupiter is a large planet. So you will have to find effective ways to manage any debt. When the 12th Lord Jupiter is in the 6th house and Saturn is aspecting the 12th house, you can show some difficulty sleeping, and there could be a tendency towards frequent illnesses if your natal chart is weak in terms of health. Now, from the 6th house, Jupiter will aspect your 10th house, which will be beneficial for your career and which can give you professional success. It will give you opportunities for career advancement. There can be opportunities for leadership, and you can get recognition. So with this aspect, it means that the harder you work, the more effort you put in, the more you will grow. So that is a condition of this aspect. It has to involve the 6th house. The next aspect will be on your 12th house, which is the house of letting go and expenses. So whenever Jupiter aspects the 12th house, it's a time where you can be financially generous. It's a time where you can spend money on yourself, but also on others, as Jupiter is in Gemini. This is a time that you can spend more money than usual on socializing with friends, or you could have friends who are getting married and you may need to spend money on gifts and things like that. You can also spend on traveling, and with Jupiter there in the 6th house, there will always be expenses related to learning, including short courses and training. When Jupiter sits in the 6th house and aspects the 12th house, it means that you are showing more compassion and empathy in your working environment. So Jupiter is a planet which says yes to everything. It's a planet which likes to create a supportive environment where everyone feels valued and respected. So therefore, you can end up working more hours than you would get paid for. Jupiter in the 6th house is very good for those who are working in a healthcare setting. So if you're like a nurse, or even if you're like a doctor, and you're a very caring person, then you will feel more at ease with this transit. And finally, Jupiter will aspect your second house. So with any career growth that you experience, you will be well remunerated, and overall opportunities will be there for financial gain. When we think of Jupiter, we naturally think of expanding and increasing your finances. But Jupiter is also a very generous planet. So its aspect on the second house can show spending on things you value, spending on things like assets. The sixth house is the house of debt. So what this also shows is that a person can get into debt when they purchase something big. So the most common debt is obviously a mortgage or a car loan. So there will be opportunities for you to purchase something big, and there is also opportunity for better financial management with the aspect on the second house. And since Jupiter is in Gemini, it means that you can also talk to a financial advisor who can help you set clear financial goals. For Aquarius natives, Jupiter will transit into your fifth house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May 2025. So this house is extremely positive for Jupiter because it brings opportunities for growth in many areas of your life. But before looking at the results of Jupiter, it's important to look at the first house, because the first house is the most important house in the chart. And if there is a planet transiting there, it will shape and influence your year. So therefore it will influence the type of results that Jupiter will give. So Rahu is in your first house, and Rahu is associated with the concept of me, myself, and I. So this year you'll be focused on yourself a lot more. Jupiter is in the fifth house, which will give you a strong sense of self, where you'll know who you are. You'll know what you want and what you value. So you'll have a strong sense of confidence and a positive outlook. Jupiter's transit in the fifth house will enhance your creative abilities, especially in relation to writing and drama. This transit is very good for self-expression, where a person can discover hidden talents, passions, and interests that they may not have known existed. So this is a good time for self-discovery. Jupiter in the fifth house can bring positive developments in areas of love and romance. So you could begin a new romantic encounter. There will be a desire for a fun, loving relationship, so you can meet someone and experience this. However, because your Rahu is in the first house, it shows a period where you will want to lead and control any potential relationship. So therefore, there are high chances of a spark or a short-term relationship, because unless the person you come across is more of a submissive type, Ketu in the seventh house shows a self-sacrificing person. So if you don't like someone like this, then it's highly likely any relationship will be short-term. For those hoping to start a family, Jupiter's transit in the fifth house can bring children. If you already have kids, then this can bring opportunities for bonding and enjoying shared moments together. So you'll be able to spend time with your children and share good times with them. If you're someone who is separated, or if you're getting divorced and you also have kids, you can also receive some favorable news in regards to custody. The fifth house, it also represents knowledge, and Rahu is in Aquarius, and Aquarius is a very highly intellectually gifted sign. So over the next 12 months, you will be curious and learn a lot. You'll understand the world a lot better. You'll be able to find logical solutions to any problems and become an innovative thinker, coming up with new ideas and approaches. So it doesn't really matter what job you do, because every job involves some degree of problem solving. So this combination will be very supportive. And finally, the fifth house, it represents investing. So with Jupiter in the fifth house and aspecting your 11th house, it can give you good returns from past investments. Now, from the fifth house, Jupiter will aspect the ninth house. So this aspect is very good as it shows growth in your life coming through fifth house matters. So the fifth house matters will help you expand your life. So the fifth house represents dating. So you can date people, meet people if you are single. He will help you discover new things and expand your life, but also your philosophy and beliefs. The fifth house represents children. So having a child can expand your life. This house is also your hobbies, which you can expand. So you get the idea. So the more you activate the fifth house, the more you can feel the expansion in your life. So when I say expanding life, it sounds positive, but with the expansion always comes responsibilities. So if you have children, for example, then Saturn in the second house shows that extra responsibility you have towards your family. Then Jupiter will aspect your 11th house of income. So this aspect is about money coming through fifth house matters or fifth house professions. So if you have any fifth house profession, such as, a journalist, then you can get more beneficial results. So if you're a journalist, you can earn a lot through writing. You may travel to some foreign places to write a column or article, and it will be well received and you can earn a lot. So anybody that's involved with writing, they can do quite well. If you don't have a fifth house profession or you don't get any money related to the fifth house, then your financial growth will be less. So things like a pay rise, which is a small increase, will be what you can expect. The fifth house also rules stock market, so you can get good returns from there too, and also income through your children. Again, Saturn's position is important because while you may earn a decent amount, you may not be able to save as much with Rahu in the first house, and any money that you do earn will be spent. And then finally, Jupiter will aspect your first house. So this is considered a very beneficial aspect. It will enhance your personality. You'll be able to maintain good health, and your overall outlook on life will be positive. Your glass will be half full. So do make the most of this transit, because when Jupiter goes into your sixth house, then the picture will look a little bit different. For Pisces people, Jupiter will transit into your fourth house in the sign of Gemini on the 14th of May 2025. So the fourth house is Jupiter's natural exaltation house because it is exalted in Cancer. So you can expect some positive results with this transit. So first of all, it's important to look at your first house where Saturn is transiting, because the first house will set the tone for the rest of the year. So Saturn is obviously a little bit of a challenging planet. So you will have to face some hurdles in what you are trying to achieve. But you will be able to maintain a happy mind while facing these challenges. This means that you'll be able to use positive thinking strategies to turn whatever obstacles you're facing into chances for growth and success. So there will be good results between the challenges. Jupiter's transit in the fourth house can bring some positive emotions, but because it is transiting in the sign of Gemini, and Gemini is a dual sign, so your emotions can fluctuate a little bit. Your emotions will be influenced by relationships or social interactions or friends. So it's a little bit difficult to find that emotional stability. So a little bit up and down. But generally you will feel a lot better than you have been feeling the past 12 months. The position of Saturn will bring hurdles. So this position of Jupiter is actually the best in respect to Saturn, because you'll be able to manage stressful situations and find healthy ways to cope. Now the fourth house, it symbolizes your home, your family roots and personal foundation. And Jupiter's transit in Gemini can show a curious period where you'll want to know where you come from. So for example, if you were adopted, you might have a strong desire to find your birth mother or father. You might want to explore your family tree and learn about the stories and traditions. So Jupiter here is about building a meaningful connection with your home environment and family. Jupiter's transit here can also show that you are trying to improve the situation where you are living. So for example, if you are in a foreign country, you may be trying to make that place your home by becoming a permanent resident or a citizen. Jupiter's transit here is about feeling at home. So with this transit, you can also buy a new place, renovate a place, and overall make a place more homely and comfortable. So very good for property and residential matters. And Saturn in the first house means that you are on the right path. You are on a realistic path. And Jupiter can work with Saturn, which makes it a complementary period. If you are suffering from any health related issues or your mother is suffering, there can be gradual improvements with this position of Jupiter, and as I mentioned, your mental health will also improve. Jupiter is ruling your 10th house, and when it transits the 4th house, is positive for those whose career is connected with real estate or home related activities. So if you're an interior designer or a builder, this position of Jupiter will be supportive. And this combination also shows that there's a need for privacy and a desire to balance your professional life with your personal life. So if you are constantly working, this is a time where you will want to reduce your hours or responsibilities and have a better work-life balance. Now, the challenge for Jupiter in Gemini is that you'll really have to focus on the details, which is something Pisces people don't always like to do. So Pisces, they like to process information through their intuition and emotions rather than concrete facts all the time. But this is the time, unfortunately, because Jupiter is in Gemini, it means that you need to be fixated on specific and small details for you to make progress. Now, from the 4th house, Jupiter will aspect your 8th house, 10th house, and 12th house. So the aspects on the 8th and 12th house will give you spiritual growth, where you will deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. The aspect on the 8th house is to do with an emotional transformation, where you're shifting from negative and stressful emotional states to more positive ones like happiness or peace. So this can be achieved through therapy or lifestyle changes. How can you make yourself more emotionally happy? That is what the change is to do with. And another change could be changing where you live, because your Saturn is in the 1st house. So it is the start of something new, a cycle, a new fresh start somewhere. Or it could be like a mental reset, and you have found the path that you need to go on. So I hope that makes sense. The aspect on the 12th house, so here Rahu is transiting your 12th house, so Jupiter will aspect Rahu. So there will definitely be property related expenses with Jupiter's aspect here, and there can also be expenses related to your healing, your health, and travel related expenses. You can also incur expenses related to where you live. So if you want to immigrate somewhere, you can also, incur those type of visa expenses as well. And the aspect on the 10th house can show that your family can have an influence in any decision making around your career. So if you are young, you're studying, or you're a fresh graduate, your family may play a role in shaping your career path. When Jupiter is in the 4th house, it will contribute to making you mentally happy. And therefore, there can be changes in your job which can bring mental happiness. So if you've been struggling with your work the last 12 months, you haven't been happy in your job, this aspect of Jupiter can bring some job changes, and it also shows that you'll be more happier in your new role.